I figure for most of the folks that ever see these videos, I know what it knows to be in what's called an inverted holographic system, API and grid, right? Which is obviously a black hole because you're dealing with inverters and the torque speed differential between negative slash positive space of what we experience in our space, right? Just like the airspace inside a basketball. So when you have the center point of a sphere inside of a basketball, right? And so that's air pressure that is equidistance. That means the air pressure system, an APIN air pressure system, means pressure sensitive information, right? Sensitivity, the sensor, right? Between negative and positive polarity, the air pressure, right? Atmospheres, the speed ratio, the torque speed differential ratio, harmonic speed of what we experience in our energy directed mirror. So here is sort of like a simple example that I just went through. If you think of it as a thought form exercise, right? I don't, for example, I don't have a vehicle, right? So sure, it would be cool if I went over onto the mainland from where I'm at on the Big Island of Hawaii, right? And had the money, right? The electrons available to me as electronic money, numbers that's on paper money, or numbers that are in a biometric account that's held, and I can use a magnetic strip, right? Magnetic polarity, magnetic strip, right? And what that means is that I have to acquire electrons through an inverted system in order to buy what I see in my hologram that I'm going to operate with my consciousness, which are the codes. So what that means is that I have to be willing to be an inverter in order to have an automobile to be able to drive around. You see how that works? So when you get into the idea of game clocks and balance in a binary system, right, then you have the exchange rate of speed between inverters and torque converters in order to do what? Maintain the balance. So you can see when those make a decision to come into an inverted system, which is a black hole 55 harmonic, that means we make sacrifices of what we're going to hold in memory that is running codes what we see on our projection screen. Or we operate another vehicle, like an automobile. So what that means is that those that come in there to pour on missions are making sacrifices, which means to go without what we hold in memory that we experience in a holographic projection screen. Now you can translate this when I'm a little boy and I'm giving everything away, which means you don't want to have anything, which means nothing, zero. Like you're an eternal sun, gifting electrons at the highest accelerated rate of speed in which the directed energy of the consciousness that is using that energy, which represents what love is, becomes a manifestation of the holographic reality, which means you're not needing any energy to experience what we do in our hologram. We are the generators, the plasma field generators of what we see in our mirror. That's who we are. Okay? So, in other words, when I see the vehicle, I'm using my consciousness to operate the motor vehicle. It's based on the codes of the hologram moving through time-space as a translocation space transportation vehicle, using my consciousness to operate the vehicle, right? Then it means that I have to have the electrons that I've acquired in order to be able to transfer those electrons back to the inverter. Okay? So this is how you get into the exchange rate in order to do what? Maintain the balance of the poles. Calculus, right? So you can see how that works with consciousness. Units of energy that are experiencing ourselves all connected with each other. The point differential. Or the point differential. Yeah, the point. The single point. Flash point. Ignition point of a tetrahedron. Now we're back to sound and light burn patterns of what we see in our hologram. Right? So it's I don't think of it as a game, but you can see how this applies to competition, binary games. The metronome. The binary metronome, right? Flashing on and off. Now you're on, now you're off, now you're on, now you're off. Flashing codes. Zeros and ones, digital virtual worlds. Fake. It's not real. Well, how do you know it's not real? Because it's running on a dead light artificial magnet. Artificial light, artificial life. That's how I defined it, as an illusion. Right? The illusion. The illusionist. Right? Trying to fake you out. As if you don't know the difference between a living light eternal magnet, gifting electrons at the highest accelerated rate of speed, which is the original, that's known as the point of origin in which it all began, which is eternal love. Right? So love becomes the generator of what we experience in the hologram. Because we're the generators using our love energy in which we experience that. So those are worlds, water worlds, born out of what love is. So you're experiencing the real stuff. You're experiencing being loved by us. Right? The single point of that first star. The eternal star. The eternal sun. Right? The eternal son of God. God's energy. God's consciousness. God's creative engine. The first engine. But even as a child, I didn't think of using the name God. I didn't remember using G-O-D until I was introduced to that name by hearing it from others and seeing the text in a book. What I remember as a 4-year-old little boy is that I'm experiencing eternal love in my heart. So that's how I define it, because that's how I experience it. So love is the engine. Okay, so love is an engine. So that star is an engine. It's accelerating electrons so fast, you can't take a picture. Right? Because there isn't anything that preceded that. Because that's eternity. So that's an eternal star, which is eternal unconditional love. It's on fire. As a matter of fact, you are so on fire that the intensity keeps growing in the intensity of the acceleration by wanting to give away more electrons to more units of consciousness that are experiencing eternity. That is an unbelievable experience to experience that, and I've experienced that here on this island. You know that? This is a very powerful rock to tap into, boy, and start generating a gazillion neurons, a gazillion electrons. Man, is that light getting bright? Yeah. Star beams, sunbeams. Beam me up, Scotty. Have a beautiful day. Be good to yourselves. Rainbow arkings, rainbow arcs, rainbow round tables. The turnstile. Brrr.